Hey,
Hey y'all!
she sounds like such a bird every single time we start this.
How y'all doing today?
They're doing awful now that they heard your voice.
I apologize.
She does not. Anywho.
But today we're going to be giving college tips. We recorded this before, but it accidentally got deleted because we was having technical issues. Or whatever.
Yeah, our enemies were praying against us, and unfortunately the devil had won that day. But, today is a new day, and today is a new year. So happy New Year, obviously.
Happy New Year!
Oh my God.
Our first podcast of 2019.
Wow.
More to come.
Right.
But yeah, so we're going to break it down into 3 separate categories.
And those categories are going to be finance, academic, and social life. Because it's really important that you have like a balance of all of these so you don't feel overwhelmed in any one area to make your college experience a little bit more livable. Because I know I was struggling with all 3 of these at the same time at different times, and it was just like really hard because I didn't have anyone to sort of like talk to about it. I didn't really know anybody that went to college in the United States before that. I'm not first generation or whatever because technically my parents went to college in Nigeria, so I don't like call myself that. They might give me that though when I do graduate. You know how they be like, oh, if you're like the first person in your family to graduate, can you rise so we can like what is it called, recognize you, and I think they give you like a pin or something. But other than that, yeah.
But if your parents already have like a college education, then...
Right. But I don't know if they count that or not. I don't know what their like requirements are for that, because a lot of people or a lot of institutions don't count certain what is it called, like previous education if it wasn't a U.S. education. But to me, I count it. I mean, but yeah.
The first category
is finance. So this category is one of the most important categories because without this, like, you could really struggle, like, within just getting, like, what you need for tuition.
Your basic necessities.
Right.
Expenses, personal expenses. So for me, when I first started going to school or whatever, I created a budget list for myself. So I set aside a certain amount that I would pay every month for rent.
I did not do that.
I set aside amount that I would pay for groceries. And then I also set aside like amount that I would pay for like traveling if I want to do stuff to the city or like get personal stuff or whatever, like stay within a budget. Obviously, I did not stay within that because I did not keep up with it, but that is changing this year. She will be keeping up with it.
Ooh.
It is very important to stay on top of it because at the end of the day, institutions not worried about you, they worry about your money.
Exactly. They're here to collect the check.
Their first priority will be always to take your money.
Yes.
Or whatever. I had a whole issue with with UAlbany because I was trying to file as an independent student for a really long time, and the story is extremely long or whatever. So with that, now they're trying to make me use all my loans to cover for the past semesters that they didn't give me financial aid that I was supposed to get it. He doesn't seem completely understanding of the situation right now, so it looks like he himself is trying to figure it out, one of the representatives from the financial aid office. But when you're in college, it's very important to stay on top of budgeting and understanding the resources that you have around you. And it's important that you do your own research because they don't always put that out there for students to know or whatever.
Like, always, definitely, like, when you first get here, have a plan like her. Don't be like me. Right? No, because when I first got to college, like, I had a huge issue because something happened in my personal life within my family that affected like our finances. It completely affected like just me being able to like get certain things and have certain things. Like, I even thought, like, my senior year in high school, like, maybe I won't go to college because of the situation that happened, because I didn't really know if my mom could definitely, like, support me, and I didn't want to be a burden in that aspect to her. So my solution that I automatically went to was loans, but the reason why I sort of like messed up is because um I, for one thing, I thought that I was signed up for TAP and everything, but I actually wasn't signed up for TAP. So you have to definitely always confirm with your financial aid representatives that you are definitely, you completed the applications, everything is sent in, and you're just waiting for everything to be processed. Because if not, then there could be money sitting there that you won't know about. Like, I honestly didn't know about it until I had a balance on my account, and I was trying to figure out a way to pay for it because I already had taken out a loan to cover for whatever was left over that my financial aid did not cover for. So when I went to the financial aid office, someone told me literally that, like, I have $3,000 in TAP that I just need to complete the application. So I guess I didn't realize that the application wasn't complete or whatever. So I did that, and that sort of like saved me. And I had like everything else like was covered for that time. And another thing is, like, if all of your aid does not cover it, and you're thinking about taking out a loan,
Girl.
the first thing you need to do is to like evaluate all of your resources to the extent, to the fullest extent. And if you do end up seeing that you do have to take out a loan, always go to try to take out a federal public loan and not a private loan. The private loan should be your last resort. Do not go to Sally Mae.
I think subsidized is the one that you're supposed to be taking. And then unsubsidized have like crazy interest rates. So like if you don't pay it off, you're like paying double the amount that you actually borrowed.
But even if you do get an unsubsidized loan, just make sure that it's definitely coming from like the federal institution. Like, especially if you go to like a state school, make sure it's coming. Make sure it's a public loan, because private loans, they will, their interest rates are even higher than unsubsidized rates, and then it will definitely just continue to accumulate while you're in school, and you have to pay that off very quickly, and they're not as forgiving. They don't help you make a plan to sort of pay your loans off. Like, they will not help you. But at least with the government ones, they will actually help you so that you do not become like a delinquent when it's time to like, pay the loan and you're struggling. Because the credit ones, those private ones, they don't care. They're going to give your shit to the credit union. Your credit's going to go down drastically because of that. So that's why I say stay away from Sally Mae, stay away from Discover, stay away from anything that's not in school. Find out every loan that you can definitely take out within school first, so that you're not like in a bad situation afterwards. Or like, let's say you had to drop out for some reason, like, it will be a lot easier to pay the federal loan than to pay like a private loan.
And that's the thing. When you go to the financial aid office, like how you said you had money sitting there, but you weren't immediately aware of that, I feel like they should be there to make you aware of it. And the issue is with the faculty, a lot of times they don't always know what they're speaking about. And what's very irritating is when they have student faculty members in there, because they be grinding. This is personal. They be grinding my gears. Like, they be grinding my gears. Like, one person, I had a refund check, and she told me that my refund check, I wouldn't receive it for another 2 weeks. Mind you, they was already late with my refund check. It was like a couple months into the school year, and they was already late with it. And she told me I had to wait another 2 weeks. I'm like, so you guys can't track it or like give me an estimate of when it was actually shipped out, And they sent it to Brooklyn, and I wasn't staying in Brooklyn anymore. I was staying up here. So I was just like, what's going on? I called back, and I actually spoke to a faculty member, and they said that my refund check been mailed out. Like, I'm like, oh, so nobody was gonna let me know. or whatever.
No email, no nothing.
So I had to get them to cancel that check, and then I set it up to a direct deposit where it was automatically put into my account, which beforehand I already set up my direct deposit, but for whatever reason it was mailed out or whatever.
That's weird.
So for some reason, like, you just have to stay on top of it, because they themselves aren't always put in a position where they always know the right information.
Yeah.
So it's like you just have to make sure that you're on top of things, even though it shouldn't be that way. You kind of have to, especially in a really big institution,
right?
Because like
it's only so many people like that's in the office, and there's so many students. Yeah. So it's like they have to go through all of that. They just don't treat you like a number. They're not going to treat you like
so you don't
person.
have personal relationships with these people, so they're not completely aware of your situation 24/7, or they're not going to take it as serious unless you take it as serious.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And they'll be quick to take your money or charge you with something, but they're not quick to give you your money back.
What? Let you owe them money. Let you owe them money. They be on your case, like email every single email too. They're gonna email your student email and your personal email. Let them owe you money. Oh, we just don't like.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on right now.
X, Y, and Z.
Come on, sir.
No, but honestly though, like it really also depends on who you talk to in the financial aid department, because somebody will literally tell you one thing and somebody will give you a whole nother solution to your problem. Like for me, there was a time, I think last year or 2 years ago, I had a hold on my account, and
I'm killing me.
Right, and I needed to register for classes, and I spoke to somebody one day, and they basically said like, "Oh, this needs to be put in before we can remove the hold." Because I was waiting for a scholarship to come in and something else, I think. And then I spoke to somebody else like the next day or something, and they took off the hold for me. And I was like, "Bitch, are you fucking serious right now?"
That's the thing. Like, if it's not in your ability to do something, let me know. And then direct me to someone that will be able to do it, so that we're not wasting time. When they be like, "Oh, I'll call you back," or they be like, "Oh, you got to do A, B, and C,"
say no,
and that's
Put
not
your
the
foot down.
case, and that's not the case, it's like, you could have kindly made me mind my business and go elsewhere. You didn't have to stress yourself out. Just let me know so I could carry on. Like,
and just so you know, a lot of these people, they will not treat you the same way as if they're talking to a parent on the phone.
What?
So you need to put your foot down.
They be thinking
you know what I'm
you a child.
Right.
They be thinking you a child. Like, I'm grown. I haven't lived with my parents in a while.
Right.
Relax.
I mean, and that just goes for most things in general, like the way you're treated. Just like as you're like transitioning into like adult life, and you know, you're leaving adolescence. So that's just that.
Oh, there was something else I wanted to touch on that's not on our list. It was 2 instances in particular, again relating to like budgeting. Mm-hmm. One, I think that if like money or finances or is very tight for you or whatever, I always recommend that like you go to a community college first, because 2 years schools are generally the tuition is gonna be less. So like financially, it's more beneficial to you financially or whatever. If you're gonna go to a 4-year school straight off the bat, maybe if you could like sign up for like a bunch of scholarships, stuff like that, or even live off campus, even though some schools don't allow you to live off campus as a freshman.
Yeah.
If you could find like little loopholes or whatever,
that would be the most.
That's the best, because once you live on campus, you gotta understand, not only are you paying for room and board, some schools require you
to have a lunch.
To have a meal plan. If you live on campus. So you're going to pay for room and board, you're paying for food. Mind you, the food be bad, so you're probably not going to be eating that food.
Food be very trash. They had some very, very disrespectful things happen in U Albany dining. Like, there was a time where they do like cultural nights, so they'll have like Italian food one day or Asian food one day, and let me tell you, they got to Africa and that shit was mad disrespectful. They had a jollof rice that looked like somebody from the caves in Europe made it 300 years ago. I'm so serious. It was so disrespectful. And then the one time we got something good, When we had some jerk chicken, that shit was mad good. Somebody had to complain. Well, probably a few people had to complain, talking about, you know, it's too spicy. It's jerk. It's supposed to be spicy.
You ain't gotta eat it first.
It wasn't right. There's so many other options, and then I remember me and my friends, we were talking to the one of the chefs, I guess, the Jamaican lady that was making the chicken, and she was like, "Yeah, like that's what they told me. They told me to make it less spicy because there were people complaining, and I bet you those people was white." And it's like, girl, I know your tongue not built for that, but it's okay. There's another option for you. There's definitely another, and let the other people that need that have that, because like you don't. There's gonna be a lot of instances if you go to a PWI where things just get whitewashed, and like you're not gonna enjoy certain things because of that. But it's your job to also have a voice too and make things known to like whoever's in charge. So if something like that happens where you feel like things weren't done well, put your opinion in, voice it out to whoever's in charge.
You know, a lot of times people not gonna listen.
Right.
At least you tried.
Exactly. So you couldn't say that you didn't do anything about it, you know? So, but we're gonna move on to the next topic right now.
Academics. We're gonna trim, right? Okay. Academics. Building a relationship with your professors.
This is actually very important.
It's very important.
But I have been slacking on this my entire college career. But I feel like as soon as I switched one of my majors, I immediately started to realize like it was my major a little bit that was holding me back, because I feel like I didn't know what to do with psych, because I was originally going to do double major in Africana Studies and psychology, and then I switched from psych to soc. So now that I've entered soc, and a lot of my soc classes, like they allow me to be a little bit more vulnerable and open about things, because I'm just more generally interested like with those topics. So make sure you have a major or minor that you're very like, I don't want to like sort of like dedicated to, but you're also like in tune with the emotion. Like it affects you emotionally. Like you have determination within this field, so you can connect more with the people that are already in the field. Like it's gonna make it a lot easier. Because if you're trying to connect to somebody that you don't really like, you have no interest in, like then it's gonna make it really hard for you guys to actually talk about stuff within the field and how you want to further yourself in the field. But yeah.
So for me, building relationships with professors, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I be so thirsty for an A, so I would legit try to be all of my teachers' best friends.
I'm dead.
That means I'm going up to you after class. I'm gonna speak to you after class.
That
I'm
is
gonna participate.
definitely not me.
I'm gonna participate at least 3 times every class. I'm gonna go to your office hours. We're gonna be best friends. I'm just thirsty for the A. But I had instances this semester. This semester hasn't been the best for me. I got like a B in all my classes and then a C in economics. I'm not surprised with the C with economics because mathematically I'm slow. Like whatever part of your brain does math, mine does not get it. So like I got that C and I was very proud of that C. Because in the finals, during exam, niggas was using calculators and all these. I didn't know what they was using it for. But I was looking at it, I'm like, let me pull mines out. I know for a fact I was prepared to fail. So I was very accepting of that C. But like building relationships with your professors, regardless of how hard the topic is important, because like you could use these people for recommendations. They could refer you to other organizations or help you get to know alumni who may be currently doing what you want to do, and etc. etc. So like it's very important to build relationships with your teachers. I'm not gonna lie though, even though I be up here trying to be their best friends, there are instances where I had issues with professors. Like this semester, a professor in particular, Edmund Stasic. Oh, I did not like that man.
Say his name.
I did not like that man. If you were 6 minutes late, I had 2 classes with him, which that should have been a dub. I tried to look him up on Rate My Professor, but he's a new professor to this institution, so there wasn't much reviews on him or whatever. But like, if you were 6 or more minutes late to his class, he would lock you out the room. Like, you can't come in. And I never heard of that in a school. Like, again, we grown. Like, we paid to sit in this room. So in my mind, if you're not bringing harm to yourself or other people in that room, I didn't see why he would lock you out. Or if you're being a nuisance, I could understand if you're being a nuisance because you're disrupting everyone's education. But like 6 minutes late and you locking people out, like, I just felt like that was very disrespectful. So for him, that relationship was a dub for me.
I'm dead.
Or whatever. And he actually took points off for every time you exited the room. So if you went to the bathroom, if you step out to talk on somebody calling, you step out to be like, oh, I'm in class, da da da, because I can't answer, I'm in class, da da da. You get points off for that, for like any reason for you to step out the room. That was the second class. I had 2 classes with him. That was the 3-hour class. And in the morning class, that's when he would lock people out 6 minutes after. But like, yeah, then that issue was a dub. The other instance, his name was Matt Lauer at Onondaga Community College. He was an adjunct. I don't know if he still works there or whatever, but he was very disrespectful too, and he raised his voice at me. And when he raised his voice, that's when I was like, ooh, this relationship is out of the door. Like, but generally speaking, relationships, building connections with your professors are extremely important and beneficial to like your future endeavors in that school,
right,
or whatever.
But don't break your back for somebody that clearly doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
And also report them. There's a way to report these people.
Yeah.
It differs from school to school, and if you go to a private school versus a public school. But always make sure that your voice is heard. If you feel like you're being, 1, discriminated against, or 2, just not being treated fairly in general, definitely make it a point to report that. First, I guess try to speak to the teacher and communicate with the professor.
But sometimes
to give them
they don't
a
be
chance.
trying to hear it.
If they're not hearing it, then you gotta report to their boss. You gotta CC their boss in the email first of all. Then you gotta CC the dean. You gotta like go to all these. No, I'm so serious.
But there's actually a process you can do. It's called grade grievances. A lot of times teachers will say grades are non-negotiable. But if you have find evidence or instances where the teacher was like, again, being discriminatory or like treating certain students unfairly, you can actually petition your grade or whatever, and then it will be reviewed amongst the committee.
And I think you have like a semester to do that.
I have to do mine before the spring semester, so I only had a couple weeks. But yeah, I'm in the process now of doing that with Edmund Stasic. Edmund, like. So yeah, there's always like different routes you can go to deal with your circumstances.
So now we're going to talk about classes and how to pick classes. So I feel like this is a lot, like it's always slept on, picking classes, because, you know, you just think, okay, if I don't take it now, I'm going to just take it later. But picking classes is actually very important if you're, if you switch majors, like, or if you give yourself the opportunity to switch a major so that you can always have financial aid. Because you don't want to take all of, like, the classes for your major or minor right away, because that will affect your financial aid. Because after your sophomore year, the aid will only be given to you most of the time if the classes that you're taking is going towards your major. At least 3 or 4 of those classes have to be going towards your major. So I would say, like, when you're first getting to school, make sure you try to just get a lot of your general requirements out of the way first, because I know a lot of people that struggle at the end of college to sort of find a way to get their general requirement courses out of the way, like, and those are like really easy classes, usually 100 levels classes. But some of these 100 level classes, they be a little bit annoying with the workload, and they need to chill on that. But that's why I think you should try to get it out of the way first, so that you won't like struggle at the end. Because once you're a senior, you're gonna have senioritis. You don't want to do shit.
Over this joint, like,
right?
Get me out of here.
But
I don't need to be here.
Right. And make sure you also talk to your advisor about how picking classes. But also know that your advisor does not have the final say on picking classes. You do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you should always get a second opinion of somebody that you trust or that you know will help you through the academic process, because a lot of these advisors are not helpful, and they're also abusive to some people. Like, I know somebody, like, their advisor told them, like, yeah, you're not gonna get into this, so you should just drop out now, basically, and try to switch your major.
First of all, I would have made a whole scene.
Right.
What are you saying?
And I'm pretty sure that person is about to graduate within the major that they wanted to, with a good GPA.
Yes.
So don't let them tell you shit that you can't do shit. And I feel like that definitely, if you're black or just a person of color, they may try to, like, be like, oh, maybe you're a little bit too ambitious. Maybe you should think of something a little bit more realistic a lot of the times. And it's like, girl, no. Like, this is what I want and this is what I'm getting.
Yeah.
And a lot of them also, I feel like for people of color, like, they have, like, low expectations. So, because I remember trying to talk to my advisor freshman year or sophomore year about, like, you know, my plan. Because I feel like people don't understand that, like, for a lot of people, this plan is very essential to my well-being in life afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, this is not just for fun, shits and giggles. Like, nobody's gonna be there to help me after I get out of college. Like, my mom is getting old. I have to be able to take care of myself and have a decent job afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have siblings afterwards. And I have nobody else to support me besides my mom. Like, a lot of people, like, they have extended family or their family can help them, like, to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But I know my situation. So it's like, even if you do communicate that with the advisor, they still may not understand fully, and they may not get the nuance of the situation, especially if you're a person of color, if you're an immigrant like me. So, like, just make the plan for yourself. Their word is not final. Like, make the plan for yourself, get advice from other places, and then figure out what you want to do. Because, I mean, they're there to literally just collect the check, you know?
They just make suggestions.
Right.
But in my instance, so first of all, y'all, fun fact, if you go to a community college before going to a if you go to a 2-year college before going to a 4-year institution, it actually waives all your general studies. So if you go and graduate, yep. So when I came here, I had no gen eds to do. Like, I satisfied that whole requirement.
Dang.
Or whatever. So, like, that would be out the butt. I mean, nip the butt, whatever. You know what I'm saying. But, like, when I'm picking classes, first and foremost, I go to the course catalog and I basically read the course description and see if it's something that I would be interested in, first and foremost.
Yeah.
And then I see who's teaching it, and I go and rate my professor and see the reviews that was left for the teachers. Because
always check the reviews.
I always do it, because you don't want to deal with somebody that's like, you know, those teachers that, like, they've been here for a while and they're kind of set in their ways.
Yes.
Like, they don't want to work with students. They don't care for, like, taking certain instances into consideration.
Because so they don't really definitely care.
Yeah, so, like, I go to rate my professor after I do that. In a lot of instances where you have to buy literature for the class, say if it was like an online book, I'd be the first one to tell these people, first of all, I'm broke. Like, I can't afford this.
Yeah, that's why it's good to communicate. Because they will help you. Some professors,
but they don't tell you that. They will
tell you that. They will just say, get the book.
That's the thing. Like, you constantly in college, even though it's good that you're learning stuff on your own, you're learning to be an adult, it's like, you shouldn't have to do all of that. Like, you shouldn't go out of your way to learn these things. They should just make sure you're educated on that or whatever. But I went to my advisor and I was actually like, I'm broke. Shorty can't afford this. And she actually called the representative of the literature for the online access code, and they emailed me an access code, and I was able to use that for a whole semester. And then this previous semester, I just did the same thing, and I was given the access code to the class or whatever. So, like, when it comes to that, it's like, it's very important, like, when you're picking classes, that you know the teachers that you're working with, and then you make yourself aware of the faculty members that would help you purchase books in classes. Because if you don't have the literature on time, the teachers generally, for the most part, don't care. Like, they're just gonna give you the syllabus and it is what it is or whatever. Yeah. That's why I don't think it's fair. Like, I feel like when you register for a class, before registering, you should be able to see the
with
syllabus.
the book, yeah,
like those are things that should be prepared in advance. I shouldn't be going to class the first day and then wait for you to tell me, because like the schools usually within a month you have to have the book or whatever, and it's like if you're getting the book mailed to you, if you have to like go out of your way to get the book, it's like dang, like I'm already behind.
You don't even use the book, and it's like a waste
That's
of
a
money.
fact. That's a fact. And these people who will have you purchasing $400 books, you return it and get it back for $10. Like
no,
you
and that's another
$10.
thing. If you don't need that book later on in life, rent the book. Do not buy the book. Rent always. It's a lot easier. It's way more cheaper. A lot of the time, it's like 50% more cheaper than buying the actual book, and even more.
And what people would do too is they would resell the book on Amazon.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and then it'll be more affordable for you. So if you get like a used copy of the book, you can do that as well. Or like if you see that the book return area isn't trying to give you like nowhere near the amount you paid, you can try to sell it on your own as well.
Yeah, don't automatically just give it back to them to sell it for you, because they will do you dirty.
Unless it's the books that have the access codes. Because for some classes you need the access codes.
And another thing too, some teachers do give you like that first week or 2 weeks for you to get the book or whatever, because of financial aid. A lot of people are waiting on financial aid, especially if your school is like ours with the trash ass financial aid program. So you'll probably be waiting on aid for like, you could be waiting from 1 week to 1 month. So you need to sort of like figure out like what's going on there. But also at the school, some schools, like our school, has an auxiliary service. So if you're waiting on aid to come in so you can purchase books, they give you, I know at Albany they give you I think $600 or $650 through auxiliary services. So that's like you get it through something called podium money, which is basically at our school it's like credit, but for anything on campus and certain things off campus. So with that, if you say like, oh, you're waiting on your financial aid, and they can see that on your account, they will give you the $600 to purchase the books that you need, or to rent the books, or however. And another thing too,
so that means when your aid comes, your aid will go towards that first.
Exactly. So it'll just be taken out automatically, I guess, because they give it to you. They give you $600 in advance. Oh, so it's sort of like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so what my old school would do, they would give you a portion of your aid in advance, but it wasn't credited to you. It would just a direct deposit. They would put a certain amount into your thing, so it's not like you had to pay them back.
Yeah,
they already took the money.
Yeah,
they already took the money, so it wasn't really a credit. Like
right. That's what I mean. Like, it's not really like you're not worried about paying them back or anything like that. It's just an advanced service, so that like you can.
But it didn't have to be like, it wasn't a set amount.
Oh, for ours, it was definitely,
it's definitely
like a set amount. I mean, you could probably, if you don't need that much, you could request less, but I don't know why you would, because just in case. But also, like, even before you rent, check the library, my guy. Like, these books be in the library, I swear to God. Like, I remember I was about to rent this book, and then I was like, you know what, let me just try the library for once. And when I tell you, you could literally rent the whole, like, I was able to rent the book for the entire semester. And then you can also extend how long you want to rent it. But usually you only need it for a semester. So, like, you would be really pretty much set with that. And that saves you even more money because you don't have to pay at the library for renting it. But they also have some books on, like, a hold, like, or I mean, what do they call it? Reserve. So, like, certain teachers will, like, reserve textbooks at the library. And usually it's like a 3-hour loan process. Again, that's usually free. I mean, in our school it's free. I don't know if it, like, differs from school to school. But, I mean, that's an option as well if you don't want to, like, purchase the book.
After my freshman year, I never bought a book again. I always use the interlibrary loan service. Try to get stuff on reserve, but it's 24 hours or whatever, so you can hold it for like a whole day, and then you just bring it back after the 24 hours.
Yeah, so definitely do that. Before you buy any book, do that first. And just know that a lot of these used books, rented books, they will go out very quickly within the first week or so. So if you know, you have to sort of figure out if it's at the library or not, or if it's going to be on reserve. And if not, definitely rent the book. And then if that's not an option, then I would say buy the book. But even then, like, try not, do your best not to buy books, because you really don't need to buy books in college. Like, that's something they really don't tell you. But I mean, unless you're like a bio major and you need like an updated copy of something, because I know for a lot of science majors, they have to have like a updated copy, like a 2018 or 2019 copy for certain things, just because science is always changing and certain things that we knew maybe last year are different now. So that would be one thing that might be like a little bit hard if you're a science major. But if you're not within the hard sciences or core sciences, as they say, then you will be like, you will basically be fine, I think, in my opinion.
You want to go to social life?
Yeah. So
social life, we kind of already touched on networking, but joining clubs, like just like earlier when we said building relationships with professors are important. Participating on campus, joining clubs, being active, like that's also very important and beneficial for your resume, because when you try to work off campus or try to find work after graduating, a lot of times they don't just want to know like, oh, she had a good GPA. They want to see if you were able to fully utilize the knowledge you were able to gain while attending the school.
Yeah.
So like if you're able to find a club full of like-minded people that's passionate about certain issues that you're passionate about, that's great. And especially if you were able to hold any like leadership positions, that's amazing. Like in my old school, I was a RA, I was a community advisor. I had 3 jobs. So
she was working it. Like, no, for like on some real shit. Mickey was living my quote unquote dream or whatever. It wasn't my dream, but like that right there says dedication. Because when I have just one job, but then again, my jobs be mad stressful because the management ain't shit.
That's a fact.
So that's a whole nother story. But Mickey was over here doing it up. So if she could do it, you could do it. Like, don't tell yourself you can't do it. Like, you could do it.
So I worked in the library as an intern. Then I worked in the AV department, and then I worked in the in the computer lab or whatever. So like a lot of beneficial parts about having desk jobs is that when it's slow, you can do your homework and nobody's like really watching you or whatever. But like when you're like I need one too. But so like when you're trying to find work outside of school, it just shows that one, in those jobs you had to multitask between working part-time, full-time, and going to school, and you develop certain skills, like especially with desk work, you learn secretary skills like writing, communicating over the phone and with faculty, organizing work materials, filing and stuff like that. So it's like when you have all these things on your resume, it just makes you appear more of a well-rounded individual when it comes to like managing tasks or whatever. So like, yeah, joining clubs and participating is extremely important. Like it helps build your resume. Even though like other stuff like retail skills is very important, because people like to downplay retail, but it's like
retail, you have the best, like if you work retail for a long time, you probably have the best like customer service, communication skills ever. Because the type of shit that you get from customers, these crazy customers, like it's unbelievable to me.
And the skills are very transferable.
Right.
Like you could use it in almost every field, the information that you learn from retail. And you work in various working environments in retail, so.
Right, and that's part of like, you gotta like do it up when you write your resume. Don't just be like, I worked at X, Y, and Z. You gotta be like, I was interested in furthering my knowledge on what would somebody say? I was interested in furthering my communication skills. I was adept in filing, customer service, multitasking. You gotta
I
make
be
yourself.
chatting it up. I be like, I'm updated on the most recent Microsoft software.
I'm dead.
I excel in their programs. I'm good at
Right.
Excel itself.
I'm dead.
I type at so and such a speed of time.
Right.
Like,
No,
you
some
gotta
jobs will
gas
actually ask you for
yourself.
that.
You gotta gas yourself OD, like,
You gotta
and
make
then
it seem
when you
cool.
on the job, if you don't know everything, just finesse. Like, just be watching what other people do and try to like adapt, cause that's just what it is. Like, you gotta gas yourself and have faith in yourself. Otherwise, they're not gonna have faith in your abilities.
Exactly.
So it's like, just do what you gotta do, spin it how you gotta spin it. And then when you on the job, just finesse. And in like a couple weeks or so, you gonna have it down packed. Like,
even if like your prior work experience or whatever doesn't have to do with whatever you're applying to, just make it relate. Make it relate. Make us. I'm good at that. That's one thing I'm good at. Like, let's say I'm working or I'm applying to a job for some sort of secretary work or whatever, and I only worked in food, like, you know, for a while. You just gotta spin it around a little bit and be like, I'm very good with organizing, you know, doing file
memorization
work,
skills, because you have to remember people's orders. Multitasking.
Exactly.
I gotta get you your drink and your food at the same time. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like,
just make it work. Like, cause they honestly during the interview they just want to hear that you can make it work. They don't want to hear if you can actually do it.
but that's
most
the
of the
thing.
time.
That's the thing, though. Like, gas yourself up, but don't lie.
Right.
Don't set yourself up for certain expectations that you won't be able to keep up with when you're on the job. Like, if you... Oh, we about to close?
The library will be closing in 30 minutes.
If y'all heard that, that means the library is about to close. That
So
just
we
shows
gotta
you
go.
we be in here.
But that's the thing, like we were saying, like, gas yourself up, but don't lie. Because then when you're on the job and they expect you to take out a certain task, and you're not able to do that, it kind of like, first impressions are the most important impressions.
Exactly.
So like, if you're not able to complete that task, they're gonna have like something in the back of their mind about you, and they're just gonna question your capabilities, like, overall. So like, don't be like, oh, like, I'm bilingual.
Right. Don't be like, I
and
speak Spanish when you
and
only
then-
watch Dora. Like, come on.
A
Don't do
Spanish
that.
client come in and you don't know what Shorty's saying. Like, don't do all of that.
They're gonna be like, they're gonna pull up your file like, oh, I
Don't
thought
do
you
all
knew
of that.
And I thought you knew.
Don't do all of that. Like, gas yourself, but don't be out here playing yourself.
Like, if you want to say that you speak, like, maybe you could say you speak intermediate Spanish
even
or
intermediate.
beginner. Don't
Girl.
say you advanced. Don't say you bilingual.
Don't play yourself on
Please,
the job.
because
Don't
you
do
will you will set yourself up. Because there are people, they will ask in the interview to translate something, and you're gonna be sitting there like, wow, I don't know what to fucking
Like,
say.
oh, I apologize. Like,
Lo siento. No, but seriously, don't lie. Just be honest with yourself. Be honest with the people. And a lot of jobs actually take that very seriously during an interview. Like where I'm working at right now. I know this sounds silly, but I'm a chocolate advisor part-time. And like one of my assistant
it could not be
managers.
me. I'll be eating everything.
I'm dead. I don't know. I don't really care for it now.
The way I love chocolate. I love chocolate.
But my assistant manager, he was telling me about like people that he interviewed, and he was talking about how this one guy, he had the perfect interview, but he was lying about something. And he was overqualified for the job, and he kind of wouldn't say, like, because he was trying to get him to tell the truth about something, and he just wouldn't say it. And he was just like, well, then I guess you can't be hired then.
He was
And
right.
yes, and then like during the interview, they always like ask us like one weakness about yourself, and he couldn't even say that. Like we all have a weakness, and if you think you're perfect, then like it might be clipped for you for certain jobs. Like it was clipped for him during that interview. So just always make sure to be yourself, be honest, but don't sound like you don't know how to do anything. You just have to make yourself sound a little bit more professional, like with describing things and describing your job description, so that you can like, you know, definitely get the job for whatever you're applying to.
One thing, this program that I was in, YAIP, it's in New York City or whatever. I think young adults internship program, where they basically take students or people young people from low income areas, and they basically show you like different techniques to use while looking for jobs and stuff like that. And one thing they did tell me is when at a certain point during an interview, when they ask you to speak on your strengths and weaknesses, make sure your strength is a really, really strong strength.
Yeah.
But when it comes to your weakness, don't give them your worst weakness.
Right. Don't do that.
Because then you're messing yourself up. Like,
give it something like
there's
a
like
little bit
there's like
leeway.
the soft weakness, and then there's a hard weakness. The soft weakness is like, oh, I may have issues doing this right now, but it's something that I can easily work around.
Exactly.
Or like better in the future. You don't want to be like, oh, like something like a severe issue that like you're not going to be able to fix no time soon. Because then in the back of their minds, they're like, oh, while employing this person, this is something that I'll have to constantly deal with.
Exactly.
So don't come out the gate like, oh, I got psychological issues that may affect me working on the job.
Yeah.
Like, stuff like that's not going to disappear just because you gain
if you have a disability, put that. But if you just talking, like, don't chat.
Don't do all of that.
Don't
like, if they ask you what's your weakness, say, oh, I would like to continue developing my communication and people skills.
Right.
Because that's a weakness that anybody could like overcome
while
like,
working on the job, while getting experience.
With more experience, you can develop your skills. But with psychological issues, that joint stuck with you for life. Like, I mean, you can get over it, but it'll take time. Like, don't give
you want to separate that. You want to just think about business aspects only. Like, for one of my interviews, when they asked me about one of my weaknesses, I basically said, like, because they asked me my strength first, and I talked about my communication skills. And then when they asked me about my weakness, I kind of said, like, even though I love greeting customers and things like that, and I'm great with interacting with people, my weakness was basically that my voice could be a little bit low sometimes, so they may not, like, you know, hear me, like, especially sometimes over the phone. Like, I have a very like, quiet voice, and they but they took that into consideration. They were like, oh, that's definitely fine, like, with working with us, hopefully, and within our like, work environment, you'll be able to you can open up more to, like, get your voice a little bit you know, project it more. Like, that's something you could easily conquer 2-3 days.
Yeah.
Like, it's not something like that's life threatening or like you know what I'm trying to say, like,
where they're gonna question hiring you.
Right.
Don't do that.
Because then you just setting yourself up.
Yeah, don't do that.
Because I know some people be mad honest during the interviews, and it's like, bro, like,
don't be that honest.
Don't be too honest. Don't lie.
They don't need to know.
Honest.
They don't need to know everything about you out the gate. Like, let them work for some of that. Like, don't do all of that.
Especially because, like, come on now, like, a lot of these companies, or a lot of, like, jobs that you may work within college, they don't really care about you necessarily. So you don't gotta put your business out like that. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, because they're just here to collect the check from corporate, give your check in, and that's it. You know, like, so keep it simple, keep it short. Right. And if you don't like talking to people all that much, I would say work in a big environment where you can sort of, like, do your own thing, or, like, work on other things. Yes. Like, if you do retail, you want to do with clothes, like, just make sure you always folding clothes somewhere, or something, putting something away, stocking or something, because then you don't have to talk to somebody. Like, with my job now, I literally have to talk to every single customer that comes in the store, which, again, I don't mind. I love greeting people, but sometimes I will admit I have, like, some off days where I'm not really in the mood for that, or I get a bad vibe from them, you know, and they're like a give me time for now type of customer. And I just be like, all right, I'm going to just do my own thing. Like, I love tasks, so I think I might do, like, a job that requires more so tasking than, like, actual interactions with people and trying to, like, help them find a personalized gift, because I just like that better. But do what works for you, you know?
That's the thing that I like about the internship that I'm doing next semester. They're going to focus on the school to prison pipeline, and then school in prison programs. So, like, I'm able to still work with something that I'm interested in.
Yes,
and
Mickey.
My program was able to help me, like, prepare me for that. Which is why, again, it's important to work with your professors and because I had to get a faculty recommendation, and I had to get a recommendation from anyone, so it could have been a past manager or anything else. And yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do that without building those connections with my professors. But another thing about the last thing that I wanted to say about social life or whatever, I think it's very important to have a very good balance between your academic life and then campus life, where you're able to like socialize with your friends and still do what you gotta do. Because to be honest, the college environment, sometimes it can get to you, and it can be very stressful to the point where it can cause depression.
Yeah.
Especially when you feel like the faculty or administration don't really want to cater to your needs or don't really care about your personal situation. So like, I think that it's good that you always set aside time for like a group of people that you really mess with or whatever, or again joining clubs full of like-minded people. Like, you have to set aside me time. And also remember that when you're paying tuition, you're not just paying for room and board and classes, you're also paying for all the college facilities. So like, for some people, working out can also be very relaxing because you release endorphins. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Endorphins or whatever. So like, that can also help with depression and stress that you might experience while trying to get your degree or whatever. So it's just important to like put aside you time so that you're not quick to just give up on the whole situation, because these people really would have you out here crazy or whatever, especially the financial aid department, because these niggas really don't care. So like, you just take care of yourself first. Like, that's most important, like having a balance. But yeah.
And if you ever feel like you're struggling psychologically, that might have to be a whole separate podcast too, because I have a lot to say on that. I probably will make a whole video on that, because I went through a lot during my college career that I probably, like, just within my life combined, like from like the end of my senior year in high school throughout college, like I've just gone through so many things that it's just like, oh my god, like I just felt so stressed out and so, like, I guess you could say weak. Yeah, overwhelmed, weak, like just weak in the mind for a really long time. So definitely always talk to somebody. And if you don't want to talk to like your friends about it,
I'm gonna get a question.
Okay. Yeah, so if you don't want to talk to your friends about it or something, definitely like talk to maybe like a professional person about it. Like, get help from like the psychological services if your school does have them, and take advantage of that. I unfortunately, like, I like really took advantage of it like a lot later on in my college career, and I wish I like started a little bit earlier, because I think that I would have been a little bit more ahead of where I want to be right now. But that's okay. It's never too late. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's never too late. I actually had like an incident my freshman year that kind of like, I wouldn't say altered my experience, but it did have an impact on my experience in college. And basically, I got hurt on campus. It was really traumatic. The experience itself, when it did happen, was very traumatic and very painful, like very physically painful. Basically, you know, I was at, I wouldn't call it a concert, but it was a concert. And it was a concert that my school holds like every year. I'll probably like put the name somewhere or something, I don't know. And I got hurt because a lot of people fell when one of the performers was like throwing water at the crowd, and like it was a lot of black people, and black people do not like water like that being thrown at them. So like we were all like sort of like swaying, and like it was very tight. Like we were packed like sardines, and like we all kind of like fell back in the front. So just imagine this sort of like a domino effect. Like I fall down, someone falls down on top of me, someone falls down on top of them, and so on and so forth. So there is somebody literally sitting on my leg. My leg feels so painful, and then when they finally get up, I'm still in pain, and I'm trying to get up, but I was also struggling. Like I was moving my leg because I really needed to get up. And I feel like that's where I sort of started to tear my ACL and also my MCL. And then when I was trying to get up, someone had stepped on my knee, and that made it hurt even more. I was like crying. It was very traumatic. And then when I finally got up, I heard something snap out loud, and that was actually my ACL, or my MCL, either one of those, because they both tore, but it was probably my ACL that I heard. And I confirmed that with the doctor or surgeon that I went to go see afterwards. Oh shit, they got another announcement?
The library will be closing in 15 minutes.
Alright, we know it's closing soon. Calm down. So anyways, yeah, that was a really traumatic experience for me. I was taken to the hospital right away. I later on had surgery on my ACL. I had bruised bones, and both of those ligaments tore, but my ACL tore off completely, and my MCL somehow like grew back, so I guess it wasn't torn off completely. Because I went to go see two surgeons. The first surgeon that I went to see, like through the MRI, it was shown that it did tear off. And then the second time I went to see another surgeon, they saw that it was actually fixed by the way, like my movement. Because once those ligaments are torn off, there are certain movements that you can't physically do because they're both tore. So yeah, so anyways, after the surgery, I was kind of struggling with like just like operating in general, because I had a very bad time in physical therapy. It was very like extremely painful for me mentally. Like that's when it sort of like started to affect me and affect my personal relationships with people, my family, my friends, myself. So yeah, it was a lot of post-operative depression, and if you do get surgery or have had surgery, like you should definitely check in on that, look that up, and you know, make sure to check in on yourself mentally, because it's a very serious issue that many people go through, especially with surgeries that have to do with like limbs, things like that, because it like after the surgery, when you're going through physical therapy, it really does feel like you'll never be able to walk again, or to do whatever you need to do with, you know, your legs or your arms or whatever. So yeah, definitely make sure that you take your mental health very seriously, so that it does not affect your personal relationship with yourself and others for a very long period of time. That's what I would say, because if I could go back in time, I would go to therapy a little bit, and this is like mental therapy, like a little bit more, a lot more sooner than when I did, because I think I didn't start going until my junior year. So I feel like I should have started somewhere in my sophomore year, because that's when it really started to affect me, because I still was like, I think I was still on crutches at the time. And before that, I was in a wheelchair on campus, so it was very traumatic for me. But it was actually really cool when I was in the wheelchair, because people are dead ass nice. Like people would offer to push me places, like random people that I didn't know. They're like, oh, like which way are you going? Do you need to help to get to class? And they were mad nice. Like I really need to make a whole video on that experience, because it was really cool. I mean, it was painful, but it was really cool. But this, you know, we have to come to a close now, unfortunately. So I really hope all of these tips like help you guys with your endeavors. If you're in college right now, or if you're thinking about going to college, I really hope that these tips help you. If you have any questions about scholarships or school or just networking in general, or mental health, just, you know, like put the question below so we can like help you and maybe find like helpful links to like help you like get whatever resources that you need. So on that note,
thank y'all guys for watching.
I'm dead. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please tune into our next one. Have a good goddamn evening, as Adrian Expression would say. Shout out to Adrian Expression. I hope you see this podcast, Adrian. I love you. I'm about to purchase your book. What is it called again? Xeraxia? No, Xeraxia? Something like that. I think it's Xeraxia. So All right, I'm chatting now, so we gon' leave. Bye.
We appreciate your support.
We do. Like, comment,
Share, subscribe.
share. Definitely share. Share if you care, as they say. All right, bye.
Bye.